Well, this was definitely an interesting week. I'm personally break even, 3 wins, 3 losses, and a shit ton of break even trades, which I will go over every single one of them in this video. The market wasn't handing anybody easy entries this week other than maybe one day, and I saw a lot of traders skipped out on almost every single day except maybe yesterday. But thanks to my strategy, thanks to the way that I read the market, I was able to capitalize and find setups every single day. And as much as this week is break even, if I hadn't made the mistakes that I did, which I'm going to learn from, I would have been up very healthy this entire week. So going over Monday's trade, we took a very good win. Realized for about 1 to 2.4 R, if I'm not mistaken, with the R being my risk basis point, which is the best way to measure your trading performance. The idea of the trade was an overall bearish continuation, move lower overnight into the new week opening gap, which held very bullish. At the open, we saw a very strong push down with clear intentions of reversal. I was just waiting for the confirmation afterwards, which we did get at 9:45 on the dot, essentially. Since I always wait for my opening range move, the first 15 minutes of market open, to give us a more clear direction of where we want to go. Was this kind of close to the opening range move? Yes, but it was a very obvious trade. We had a very clear imbalance, which we respected very nicely. We also had a 1-minute failed BPR right up here, which I will mark out right now, with this candle right here getting inversed and then the inversion failing. Therefore, I was thinking that we were continuing to seek upside, especially after a reaction like this, and ES was very bullish. Stops could have been placed at this inversion low right here. However, I felt 350 ticks was more than enough for a trade that had this much conviction. Ended up realizing first take profit at the London highs, which is up here, and then the second final take profit at previous day high, which was a very, very good way to start the week. Moving on to Tuesday, one of the most insane days I've ever seen in any market history ever. Overnight, we continued the bullish trend. Therefore, I was 100% bullish coming into the open. Did I expect a move of this strength? Absolutely not. And I did very unfortunately get break even on an initial trade, which I have not marked out. But let's get into the analysis first. Clear bullish intention for New York. There was a lot of highs to be taken. Every single pullback was met with a stronger move higher. Therefore, when we saw a larger pullback generating a 1-minute BPR, I said to myself, perfect. If we inverse this, I'm going to enter. It was at 10:02 as well, which gave us plenty of reason to believe that we would continue higher. Stops not at this swing low right here, but at the previous wick low down here for safety in case that we want to come down, resweep, because it was close to 10 a.m. And as you can see, very, very unfortunately, price comes down, wicks us out at break even, and then just continues running higher. Thankfully, price was so bullish during this day that we were able to find and capitalize on the next move. What do I see? Clear respect of this rebalance range, pushing higher. I didn't take the trade off of this because there was nothing to take it off of. But once I saw a retrace into this 1-minute imbalance with a clear bullish reaction out of it, I said to myself, perfect, we clearly wanted to go higher. We had objectives higher. And we were met with some initial consolidation, but it was then followed through with a very strong bullish move. So what happened and why did I get very unlucky on this Tuesday? As you can see right here, I trailed my stops a little bit preemptively. I tend to trail my stops to the previous take profit and the previous take profit and the previous take profit, which is what I was doing. However, this wick right here plus the 1-minute inversion gave me confidence that we were very unlikely to sweep that low given the general bullish trend. And had we swept that low and saw a closure below like we did, I would have expected a little bit bigger of a retrace, which then would have taken us out at this trail right here, cutting our profits a little short. However, as you can see, this was the only time a local low was swept. Here it wasn't, here it wasn't, here it wasn't, here it wasn't, and it just continued going higher the entire session all the way into 1:50 p.m. Meaning that we did miss out on what would have been a 4R trade, actually more than that. What would have been, I would have gotten trailed out most likely at these lows right here. 4.8R. That's what I missed out on. Of course, it would not have been a necessarily 4.8R because I had already taken profits, but the idea of a 4.8R trade being trailed out because of a preemptive break even is very frustrating. And had I not been on my phone during this time, I honestly would not have taken anything out of this trade. It is what it is. It's going to happen. We still realize for a 1 to 2R. Therefore, we start the week very strongly winning. So what happens? How am I break even on the week? Well, let's move on to Wednesday. As you can see, Wednesday had very consolidation prone overnight price action, which is to be expected after such a large expansion from the previous day. What happens in my mind is I'm thinking we're going to continue the bullish trend, which originally after sweeping or leaving Asia low unattended, I felt had we continued this bullish trend higher through the open, we were going to most likely come up into the stacked previous day highs. We saw a pretty good opening range move higher, forming a very strong 1 minute BPR, which we clearly reacted off of in this candle right here, causing me to believe that if we had inversed this 1 minute for value gap, we were going to continue at least into these previous day highs, which would have been my break-even point. Unfortunately, it was right before 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. just decided to go lower. Didn't even form a top wick, which is very rare. Therefore, nothing you can really do about this trade. Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I thought we were just going to make a big retrace and continue higher again, so I was still seeking for upside bias. Never got the entry. No reason to take any more trades in that sense. Why did I not take a short off of this 1 minute reaction? Well, simply because we had not taken these lows. ES had taken those lows. I still saw the idea of upside potential because of all of these stacked lows all the way up here. However, we decided to continue lower, which then confirmed my idea of a change in narrative. Clearly, we had a large imbalance from the previous day that we wanted to fill. Therefore, price wanted to seek lower. We did not see the follow through that I wanted. We continued seeing very choppy price action, which I personally don't like because it causes a lot of uncertainty in the trades, and it kind of makes me feel like the trade itself was not as good. I took a 1 minute continuation short, which I got a pretty good entry in. However, had my conviction been higher, I would have entered off of this original bearish reaction right here, which would not have been a break-even trade. Actually, it would have been a winning trade. Now, obviously in hindsight, things look a lot better. And in hindsight, I shouldn't have gone break-even at all because this would have been a winning trade. But in the moment, if you see price be very consolidation prone with clear objectives higher, no 10 a.m. top wick, and you see price sweep a major low, two major lows right here, and then seek immediate reversal, well, I think it's pretty smart to expect price, if we want to be bearish, to continue lower from here and not come up into our break-even point. So we can see price chopped around for a long time and then decided to make a final move lower into an imbalance. When we came into this imbalance, mind you, I'm down one and I break even the second one, which should have shown me and said enough is enough. I actually was sitting on the chart and I saw this very healthy move higher. Why is this a healthy move higher? Well, we're clearly within this huge imbalance right here, which was a 4-hour gap, a daily gap, a 1-hour gap, basically everything that you would want to see price go back into if you want to seek higher. I saw immediate upside potential right here with a very strong 1 minute confirmation sequence. I did not take the trade off of this candle, which honestly I really should have, simply because we had a 50-minute for value gap, which I wanted to see flipped, and we did get that flip at, as you can see, 12:30 on the dot. Had I entered on this, I still would have lost. I would not have gotten break even because my break even point would have been these swing highs. But I decided to go for a larger trade and really give it as much wiggle room as possible because I thought with all of this trendline liquidity from all the way to the AM high, we had a pretty strong move to come at least into these highs, which would have taken me out of break even. Price decided not to move that way and continued consolidating for essentially 2 hours straight just to take me out, causing me a 2R loss because on the first trade I went pretty heavy given my strong conviction to upside bias. It's okay, puts us a break even for the week. It happens. Now let's move on to Thursday. Coming into the open on Thursday, I had a bullish bias still, just simply because we were continuing to trade in this larger Tuesday imbalance. And during the open, we saw very clean manipulation lower with clear reactions higher. Now, could have I taken this trade, and should have I taken this trade? Yes. In hindsight, I should have taken this trade. However, it was outside of my opening range move, which I like to wait for to see even more clarity, and it's going to cost sometimes to miss out on trades like this. Now, today, I did get a little bit tilted, I will say. Why? Because I did take a lot of good trades, and I got stopped out break even by essentially the tick because of something really stupid. As much as I entered this trade a little bit preemptively, what happened is I was about to enter the trade on this closure right here, and I had to look away because I was at work because somebody called my name. What does this happen? What does this make me do? Enter half a second later, absolutely top tick the entry right here. Had I seen an entry or more favorable entry anywhere lower than this exact point, I would not have been break even. We saw price consolidate initially and then make a pretty nice expansion higher with an unexpected retrace, and I thought this was going to be enough to take our profits, which were high of day around here, I believe. What happened is price ended up coming back all the way down to our break-even zone, taking me out, and then just running straight to my take profit. Now, at this point, I'm a little bit tilted, and I'm still very convinced in this upside potential, simply because my bias continued being bullish simply because we saw an immediate reaction off of this zone of interest, which should have kind of told me not to move my stops to break even, or at least give it a little bit more wiggle room in case we wanted to wick out the area. And I did see an immediate bullish reaction, and I took a chance. I will be honest, I 100% took a chance. I should not have taken this trade. I should have waited for the closure above this, and I should have taken this trade right here. Of course, it ended up playing in our favor, and I made the mistake of being a little bit greedy, expecting price to continue in this uptrend, especially after a reaction like this. However, this trade ended up realizing for a break even instead of any profit whatsoever. Moving on to the final trade of the day, which, mind you, I was still very tilted because this initial trade should have put me in profit for about a 1.7 R. Did not end up happening. Second trade, I did not take any profits, and I was up almost a 1.7 R as well. Therefore, I was a little bit tilted, and I made the same mistake then Wednesday. We saw a retrace into the imbalance that happened in the morning and a pretty clean bullish reaction. Now, why did I take this trade? To be honest, I'm not quite sure. This is a really bad market structure shift, and we never got a confirmation above the wick, which is what usually I like to wait for, and I got misled by a single high volume candle. So you can see price just consolidated and then ended up taking me out, causing me to be negative on the day. Finally, today, Friday, we saw price continue consolidating overnight, not really much clear direction, and we're still within this larger imbalance from Tuesday. So my bias will naturally be to the upside. What do we see from the open? Initially, we see a lot of consolidation and a move lower, which swept a lot of these lows, not the London lows, but a lot of the local lows, and a pretty strong retrace higher. Now, did I think we were going to continue moving higher? Yes, 100%. But I felt I did take this trade a little bit early. I saw retrace into these two 1-minute gaps right here. And then once I saw a strong bullish move like this, I actually got a very good entry, and I caught price at around the midway point. With this closure up here, I was very confident that price wanted to continue higher. But we saw some drawdown into our original area of interest, which, as you can see, if price had wanted to deliver better, we would have seen an entry here. Decided to let the trade ride out, and thankfully ended up hitting for my first take profit with the AM highs, and very, very surprisingly did not take the high of day, which is a little bit frustrating given that I had a lot of evals kind of banking on this high of day to be the final take profit. Now, I didn't see any more setups during the PM session. We just consolidated, didn't really see any conviction, any reason to go up or down. And I believe it is understandable given the big moves that were made this week. So I didn't end up taking anything. We saw a large pump towards the end of the day, but it's a very classic Friday move. Can't really predict it, and it's not really worth trading if you're seeing the range between 12 and 3 p.m. to be an absolutely consolidation-prone range. Very hectic week with a lot of entries and a lot of fake outs and a lot of strong moves as well. Had I taken a little bit better entries, been a little bit more patient, and better risk managed with my trades, not so emotional, I would have ended up with a very green week. It's happened. It happens. It's okay. I'm very proud that I'm taking winning trades every single day. And of course, I have to better my PM trades, better my market structure shift trades, because I'm taking trades that are a little bit emotional and unnecessary. That kind of wraps up everything for this week. This is why I really like my trading model, because no matter what the conditions are for the market, you can still catch some moves. You can still be present every single day and take a chance. And at that, you can take pretty good chances at having a very green week. I'll leave it at this. I'm going to try to do more of these trade recaps every single Friday, Saturday, or Sunday whenever I have the time. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Make sure you check out the free Discord. That's where I teach everything. Peace.